Hi, I'm Roy Coughlan, and I'm the creator of the podcast. You can find everything about me and the five podcasts on bio.link/podcaster, and you'll find it in the QR code there. I'd also like to thank my sponsors. If you or someone you know is struggling with anxiety and want to know how to be 100% anxiety free in 6 weeks without therapy or drugs, Daniel Packard Anxiety Solution Program Company offers a 6 weeks system that permanently solves anxiety at an astounding 90% success rate. People who join the program only pay at the end once they have clear, measurable results. If you're interested in learning more, go to permanentanxietysolutions.com where you can book a free consultation with Daniel. Do you have high blood pressure and want to get off the meds? Doctors are amazed at what Zona Plus can do. Get a $50 discount with my code ROY. Go to zona.com/discount/ROY and you see the QR code for all my sponsors down at the end. Quality Polish manufacturer of metal products for telecommunication and workshop equipment and other metals. If you'd like a brochure, you see it in the QR code and you just let us know if you would like a quotation shipped internationally and very competitive rates. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. My guest today, I'm actually delighted to have him back because not only has he been on episode number 129, but we had the live show with my fellow podcasters on episode 141 and 181. He's the founder and CEO of the Sovereign Project. He's an author. He's the author of this book, The System, which is a very good book. And his friend's one, which is also on the website, just so I'll show, is an excellent book as well. But I have read over 20 books on common law, UCC, sovereignty. And the best one by far is this handbook that you have created. It knocks the rest of them out of the water. And it's the last one I got. I wish it was the first one I got. But I think maybe that's why I appreciate the value that's in it. So please welcome back to the show, known as Sovereign Peter Stone.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Oh, brilliant. So you might let us know, what's the Sovereign Project up to? What's Pete up to? What's going on?
No problem at all. Yes, we've been really busy. I mean, the success of the Sovereign Project is taking me back a bit because it's really exploding. People are signing up every day. We get more and more new members. And we are trying to put together a whole load of remedies. Hopefully everyone knows by now that we hold several free workshops across the country. I think we've got 9, I believe. I might have to check that. I've got a guy who runs it now. It's getting so big. So there's a free workshop that people can attend and learn all this sort of stuff.
And obviously, just on that, for those listening, because sometimes on your website, so it's the sovereignproject.live, Live, all the locations are actually on that. So people can go in and the locations will be there.
Absolutely right. Yeah, they're all there. So there's a page for workshops. So try and find your local sovereign workshop. And we are looking for more people who want to join our team and open their workshop as well. And we'll help you with that. We'll give you the information. We'll give you all the PowerPoints, all that sort of stuff. And you'll be part of the network. So more and more people are doing that. In fact, what we've done now, we actually have an online course. And we've got I think we've got about 550 people doing that now. And we're hoping that some of those people, once they've completed the course, they will also want to set up their own workshop and get their group going in their area. And then that will strengthen the network. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of collaboration work going on. So I'm working with a lot of other people now. We're working with Clive de Col regarding health. So we now have a Clive de Col page on the website. So if you want to get into the supplements, vitamin D, vitamin C, that sort of stuff, you can actually contact him, get that sorted. So hopefully we're going to expand on that because the Sovereign Project's about health as well as mindset, as well as understanding law versus legal, that sort of stuff. So it covers a whole thing, a whole spectrum of things. So we're doing that. Now, one of the things we're trying to do, now we have a bit of a problem because I'm a victim of my own success, unfortunately, because I did a few podcasts and I've got thousands and thousands of people emailing me going, I've got this problem. What can you do? And can you give me a template and all this? And we're getting swamped. And unfortunately, I wish I could do it on an individual basis, but it's just so much. I just can't. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to do the next best thing. And we've put together what we call the Sovereign Wiki. And it's just like a Wikipedia, but it's like the Sovereign version. It's free to use. And it's designed for anybody who's got something to say. If you've got some good information, a templates, a remedy, and you think you've got something worth sharing, then put it on the Sovereign Wiki. And then other people can then jump on the Sovereign Wiki and get tips and points and all that sort of stuff. So we're trying to get that out there. We're trying to let everybody know about it. Anyone in the freedom movement, truth movement, health, doesn't matter what it is. If your intentions are pure, you're not in it for the money, and you want to get the information out there, feel free to use it. It's free resource. So that's just one of the things.
Just on that, because you said not in it for the money. So based on me knowing for over a year or whatever, like, you're never in it for the money. You're doing so much work for, I know what it's like building a network and doing all the different things, the social media and everything. So even the events that you're doing, the cost involved, the time involved, there is a load of people out there, and I have seen a load, and there's a lot of fraud out there. And the unfortunate thing is there's people guiding each other to go down a certain route. And there's even one, I don't even want to mention it because I don't want to give them the energy to go there, but they're even having in-house fighting at the moment. And it looks so pathetic. It's like they're both kind of reading each other in public.
Yes.
But they're like creating this thing. Let's say they created like a crypto system. And when I asked for the white paper, they asked me, like, what's that?
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, I knew straight away, before this came out, this is a fraud. I knew straight away. And I have an email from them saying, what's a white paper? For somebody that's, yeah. So it just shows, like, you have to do your own due diligence as well, because there's people charging $5,000 and $6,000. There's people charging just to do a course, and they don't even hold your hand. There's like,
I know,
they take you along, and then something goes wrong, and there's like, they just run for the hills, and you're left thinking you're in trouble. And I suppose the thing, and it's something we might have discussed it as well, but because I get a load of people asking me as well, they all want you to do everything. And it's like, it's great going to the solicitor and say, hey, do this for me. But the reality is, the trick in this is actually understanding it. So, one, how to teach it to others, but two, that, because there's curveballs all your life, you know how to do it. Whereas if you're constantly relying on, say, the solicitor kind of thing, or the person that does this for you, you're going to get knocked down, because they'll be looking to get you. So the best way is to stand on your own 2 feet and try to understand it.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This is where so many people are going wrong. They're looking for a quick fix. And they think, if I throw 3,000, 5,000 pounds at this person, he's going to solve all my issues. But you're absolutely right. If you do that, you're not learning yourself. And if you're not learning yourself, you can't spot the fraud, and you can't spot that you're actually being taken for a ride. And a lot of people have found that out now. I mean, I don't want to mention any names. There's some people out there that charge quite a lot of money up front as well, and then they don't deliver, and then the person is in even worse situation, because they got into the situation trying to get rid of one debt, and now they're in debt with this person because they've paid up front for it as well. So now they've got to pay that debt as well, and the old debt hasn't gone away. So the Sovereign Project, we have this, we've probably heard of this term before. It's to give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. And that's what the Sovereign Project does. We show you how it actually works, and then you can decide how to put together your own remedy. So you can learn how to fish. And that's the only way out of this system. And you're absolutely right. You've got to stand on your own 2 feet. You've got to stand in your own power. You can't hide behind someone else and go, oh, I've paid that person, he's going to look after me. No. You've got to stand your ground on this. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, like, there's a load of different places now we can go down with this, but there's one, because I know it happens to a lot of people, but it's going on currently in my situation. Is like, because prior to recording, I mentioned my father had passed, and when I was at home, I went to the banks and all the different places with my mom. So what they basically said inside the bank, the joint account is okay, that just goes straight to you. But his account will just take about 6 weeks and everything. So I'm there. And then they were condescending to my mother. Is like, but because of the timing, I didn't want to stand up and get aggressive. I just said, all right, let this go. And afterwards, my mom was like, "Did you see the way she spoke to me?" Like, so she was fuming over. And now, just recently, just this week,
Yeah.
they're blocked her account, the
Oh,
joint account. Yeah. And
oh
she's
my
like,
God.
she's going in there going, "This is my money. What are you doing?"
Yes.
And I told her, like, I said, actually get them to give it to you in writing. So I know probate is kind of different because they kind of go, like, if a parent died or something like that. But when it's a spouse, it's totally different. So we might just touch on like the
Mm,
probate and then this kind of situation, because I know most people experience this. The banks
yes.
do think they're in control. They own everything.
Well, here's the thing. Perhaps we should actually go through the truth regarding your banking system and the money itself. You see, everyone's under the assumption that it's their money in their bank account, but in reality, it isn't. Okay, so I think we might want to touch on that. So if we could touch on that, then we might understand what is actually going on, and also if you understand what is going on, then everyone listening, you might want to get your money out of your bank now, and maybe put it into something else that's got intrinsic value. Something of a real asset. So let's just talk about the bank account itself. Now, the bank account itself actually belongs to the bank. Okay, it's not yours. Now, what you will do is when you open up a bank account, what you're doing is you're agreeing to be an administrator, an unpaid administrator for that bank account, which is in fact owned by the bank. They own it, it's theirs. Now, the name on these bank accounts isn't yours. You think it's got my name on it. It goes, no, it hasn't. What they will do, this bank, because a bank is a corporation, and in commerce, you can only deal with another corporation. Okay. So they can't deal with a living, breathing man or woman. No living, breathing man or woman actually has a bank account. That's impossible. Doesn't work in commerce. So the living, breathing man or woman has to have a corporation that can then deal with the bank account with the bank that's a corporation. So what the bank does is they actually create, there's two ways they do it. The one is they will use the corporation that was set up when you were born. This is your birth certificate. Okay. So when you open up a bank account, they will ask for your national insurance number and all this sort of stuff. So you'll give it. But that is for your birth certificate corporation. So they'll use that to set up your initial bank account. And then what they will do is that if you want more than one bank account, they will create implied corporations on more bank accounts, which they control. And they control all of this. Now, I guess worse than that, because you work, you get some money, for example. And by the way, we don't use money, we use promissory notes. Okay. In fact, I think I might have one here. Let's have a quick. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah, here we go. Here's one on camera. It's a promissory note. Okay. So I think you're in Ireland, I believe. So yours are slightly different to our promissory notes.
I'm actually in Poland now. So.
Are you in Poland?
Yeah.
So do you use the euro then?
No, they don't actually. They use the Polish
Oh,
zloty, but it's the exact same, because I think we might have touched on that before. Because the
yes,
actual the pound note and the number is totally different symbols, which in
yes,
turn
yes.
there's
Yeah.
trickery in itself on that.
There's one bar in the pound symbol, which means it's fiat. And if it's got two bars in it, then it means it's supposed to represent something of intrinsic value. So, like on the dollar symbol, the dollar symbol today has got one bar through it, which is the fiat, which is worthless. The old symbol had two bars, which represented a silver dollar coin. So $1 note represented a $1 silver coin, equal value. But you're right on the symbolism. Now, the thing with these is, even if you work, say you work, and then someone actually gives you this, it's still not yours, because it's got, well, in this case, it's got the Bank of England written on it, which means it belongs to the Bank of England. So it's not your money at all, even if you work for it. But then let's say it gets even worse than this, because even let's say you've got it and you work for a week and someone gives you a whole load of these, you've got a big bunch of them, and then you go down to the bank and you hand it over. What you are doing is depositing the money into the bank, which means deposing. Deposit means deposing. You're giving it away. So you're literally giving it away to the bank. And now they have full control over this. So not only is it their name on it, but you're giving it to them. And the bank account is not yours, and you don't have control of it. And the bank account's not even in your name. So this is why the banks can do what they do. And this is why we're seeing restrictions now. And one of the things we're seeing is, if you try and draw money out of a bank, they're asking you questions like, well, what are you going to spend it on? You go, what? I thought it was my money. Well, it isn't. So I'm hoping people are beginning to wake up. The only reason why the bank can actually ask you that question, because it's their money, you see, they are giving it to you. So that's why they can ask it. So I'm hoping people start waking up on this. So unfortunately, that's what's happened to your mum. Okay, she didn't realize any of this. She didn't know this. She thought it was her money. She thought it was her bank account. Now, what I would do, here's the good news. The good news is you were never informed in any of this. You were not told this. That means that if there is no informed consent, then there is no original contract. The contract or agreement is null and void. You can't be defrauded. You can't be told one thing and then led down a garden path to fraud. So one of the things I would do is try and get the name of someone who works for the bank. Don't actually send notices or letters to the bank itself. It's a corporation. It won't be heard. It'll just go straight in the bin. But one of the things that I'm trying to get people to do is to find out the bank manager of your local branch. Make him liable. Start serving notice on him and say, you're going to have to explain this. You're going to have to explain why the bank was shut down, who's under whose authority, why are you doing this sort of stuff. And you put the pressure on the individual people who work for these corporations. That is the only way out of this system. If you end up fighting corporations, you will never win. But unless people wake up, this fight's going to be going on for a very long time.
What I've seen as well is a lot of times from the banks, especially in Ireland, the Bank of Ireland, biggest bank in Ireland, PO box. I mean, you cannot have a PO box, but that's where their correspondence is.
You're right again. I mean, a PO box is a non-contractual address, and you go, why has a bank got a PO box? I mean, immediately, if you get any mail in the post, you flip it on the back and you see the return mail and it says PO box, you should ring alarm bells because only con men would do that. So yes, that's another thing people are waking up to. It's got PO box on it and go, well, if it's a legitimate company and I'm in a contract with them, why am I returning mail to a PO box? Doesn't make sense until you realize that a PO box is not a contractual address. And if you do return it to a PO box and you want a signature, you won't get one. So that's another reason they do it. But yeah, you're right. It's a fraud.
Yeah. So the event that you're doing, is it the 1st of October? So you might tell people where it is. And is it being recorded? Or like for those that are across the pond that would love to be there but can't?
Yes, it's happening on October the 1st, and it will be just outside of Leicester. So what we're doing is we're not actually giving away the full address, because you'll get that when you buy the ticket, you'll get the full address, because we don't want people turning up, because it's a ticket only event, because there's only so many places. We can only have 100 people in the venue because that's the fire regulation. So it's not a turn up on the day. You've got to buy a ticket. Your name will be down on the list, and when you quote your ticket number, we'll sign you off, and you'll get your free book as well, because we're going to everyone who buys a ticket gets a free manual. Now, what we will be doing is it's a sit-down event. It's tables and chairs, refreshments, cups of tea, lunch, that sort of stuff. So I will be doing a presentation. I will be going over a lot of new stuff regarding mindset, the deception of the language, the fraudulent system, all this sort of stuff. And we have a special guest coming, which is Trina Deacon, and she is a specialist in trusts. So she'll be talking for a couple of hours. She'll be doing a presentation on trusts, and she'll be helping those in the audience who are trying to protect their assets. And I would suggest looking into trusts. Now, I would never suggest just buying a trust and then hoping it works. You've got to learn how it works first. Okay. And this is where Trina comes in. She holds a training course, so she'll teach you how a trust works. So it's an all-day event. It begins at about 10 in the morning. So I think the doors open at 9. Everyone should get settled in. Starts at 10. We have an hour break. We have some breaks during the afternoon in the morning, and it finishes at about 5. And we do have a special guest coming. Richard Verbs is coming. So he's expressed interest. He wants to be there. So I said, yep, no problem. So he's going to come down as well. Unfortunately, it's not going to be recorded. So we were thinking of recording it. Now, this is the limitations we have, is that we are all volunteers in the Sovereign Project. If we could have someone who was like a specialist in recording equipment and could do the editing and put it together, maybe set some cameras up and do the uploading, then we might do it. But unfortunately, we don't have anyone who could do that. So we decided it was too technically demanding, so we're not going to do it. We might do it next year. We'll see. But next year, we might be doing a larger event. We'll see, because I'm now working with Dolores Cahill. So she's now part of the team, if you like. So we're working with her. And we've met. She came down to Leicester. We had a little mini event. Great speaker. Learned a lot. And so we're going to try and put something together for maybe summer next year. But what we're trying to do is put together a panel of speakers. And we're trying to get some sort of venue going, maybe 1,000 seats. This is going to take a lot of organization. And we're going to need some people who are going to step up and say, yes, I will be there. And yes, I will do a talk, a presentation. It's just an idea at the minute. So all being well, the one in 1st of October should be very successful. I think we've only got 20 tickets left. So that should be really good. So I can recruit my money on that one. So I have to pay money up front for these events. I'll get my money back on that. So that's be fine. And then next year we could do a bigger one, all being well.
Brilliant. And yeah, I think if we can have it recorded, even if it's not this one, the next one, it's just because even if it's an online course or something that you're selling, because I know the amount of work that you're putting in, just having a kind of steady stream, helps all the, research and everything.
It does. I mean, you're right about, the sewing project, when I started this off, it was all completely free, and it still is. And I was living on my savings to do it, because I think everyone knows my story by now. I got very angry in 2020, and I was actually doing my own, I was trying to develop my own supercar, kit car sort of project, and I had money for that. 2020 happened. I got really angry. So the money I was saved up for that project, I started the sovereign project, and I was living off those savings. But people were saying to me, says, you can't do that forever. And that's true, because the money will eventually run out. So we have a philosophy now at the Sovereign Project. The Sovereign Project, this is always going to be the case. The information will always be free, always. So you can download it, you can read the handouts, it will always be free. The books, we do books now, popular request, and we do those at an affordable price. I think it's 20 quid for a book. That's not bad. And we do the online course now. Now, we only did the online course because we got so many requests. We were getting hundreds and hundreds of people saying, do you do it online? So eventually I said, all right, then I'll do it online. And it worked out. I said, how cheap can we make it? And we've done it for the one session, which is about 2 or 3 hour Zoom online on a Monday night. Works out to the same cost of a cup of coffee. It's like 3 quid and change. So we do it for that. Everyone's enjoying it. Everyone says it's a bargain. But that helps, because that generates money, and that means I can put money into the website. I can put money into events now, and I can start planning bigger events. So it's turning a little bit into a business, which is not really what I planned, but it is what it is. But the information will always be free.
Excellent. And I suppose like the kind of knock-on effect with all the different things, like the Wiki thing you're doing, and the different groups, we're 9 in the UK, because everybody is trying things as well. And the beauty is, when you're building this kind of community, you're sharing. Like I've got my little circle, and we're just we just we share everything. And it's like, and what we find is sometimes we just go off and we might talk for a month or whatever. We do things differently, but we get the same results. But it's good for people to see. Sometimes there's a few options. You don't have to do it just black and white. It must be this way. There's a lot of different ways to get the same results.
Absolutely. That's why it's called remedy, because there's no such thing as an answer or a solution. And this is where people are going wrong. They have a problem and they think there's just a simple answer. Like, if I do this one thing, then the problem will go away. And I go, no. There's too many variables. So one person might handle it a different way, and another person handles it a different way, and they get the same result. And that's how it works. That's why it's remedy. And here's the thing as well. I noticed that there's a lot of people in the freedom movement, truth movement, call it what you will. They get disillusioned because, unfortunately, they start running before they can walk. So they'll get templates, for example, or just download it. They won't really understand what it is they're doing. They will try it, and then it doesn't work. They don't get the result that they want. And unfortunately, they will blame the remedy when it was, in fact, their fault because they weren't doing it correctly. Now, also about remedies, here's the thing you've got to understand about the system. The system itself, it has the illusion that it has rules, but the people at the very, very top who control the system, they don't follow the rules. So people have got to understand that, because everyone's thinking, oh, there's a set of rules. They can't do this because of X, Y, Z, or this act or statute stops them from doing it. Or doesn't matter. No, the people at the very top of this system who control it, they make the rules up as they go along. It's like playing chess with someone, and you know the pieces and you know the moves, and then the person you're playing against gets
he gets out a baseball bat and
just bash, tips the table over, says I've won. Or he gets a pawn out and pretends it's a queen. Oh, that's a queen now. Huh? What? So people have got to understand that the people who control this system, they don't follow the rules, and they also change the rules all the time. So it's always evolving. So even if you get your paperwork perfectly, you do a perfect notice, you do the process perfectly, you do an affidavit perfectly, you could be dealing with someone on the other end of your remedy who's just an outright criminal and is just going to ignore your paperwork, and they're going to forge signatures to get it through. I mean, we're hearing reports now. This is staggering stuff now. We're hearing reports. This is happening. This is people telling me that what's going on is they've done everything correctly. They've done their paperwork. They've done their notices. They've done due process. They've sent it Royal Mail, got everything perfectly done their affidavits. They've gone down to the courts and they've filed the paperwork, and it says, great, they've got their case number, they've got the court date and everything like that. So they're waiting for the court date, because then some of these people are like suing debt collectors and stuff. And then they'll get a letter 2 or 3 weeks later from the court saying, no, we're not going to do that. It's not in our best interest. Excuse me? That's not how it works. If I filed my paperwork and I've got my case number and I've got my case coming, no one on this planet has the right to stop that court date. But they're shutting it down. So this is happening. Other things that are happening is that people are speeding tickets is another one. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows I got rid of a speeding ticket long time ago. I mean, 12, 15 years ago. I don't know, something like that. And it was a fake one. I got one of those fake speeding tickets. It was, well, my partner, it was on her Audi. She got it on that. It took several months and I got rid of it. Now, the only reason that I could actually get rid of it is because when we received the speeding ticket, I sent my notice to the police going, what's going on? We haven't got the correct information. So I was asking for blah, 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 blah. And they responded. So I got a reply. I actually got a name of a superintendent. So I was actually dealing with a superintendent, and eventually he withdrew the speeding ticket. What's happening now is when you receive a speeding ticket in the post, which is not signed, it's just one sheet of paper, you were caught speeding, people are sending their notices off saying, well, can you please provide me with evidence, photographic evidence and stuff like that. The police are ignoring it. And then the police are then just carrying on in court without your knowledge. You don't know this is going on, conducting the court, finding you guilty, hitting you with a fine, banning you, and then just sending you a letter saying, oh, well, we've taken you to court. We found you guilty. You owe us £1,000. And you, by the way, you've been banned for 6 months. And you go, what? You ignored my notices. You didn't give me any evidence. You didn't even tell me the court date. So this is what's going on at the minute. I think this is it's bad news for the individuals involved, but it's a sort of a good news thing because it's now exposing the corruption.
I've had that against me. I've had a court case that I didn't even know about, and they tried to get the bailiffs after me for money. And I was like, I wasn't even aware of this court case. But I started using my letters. I used the GDPR. I said, so the bailiff straight away passed it back. And another time the courts were trying to call me for something else. And I used that basically you're not dealing with the individual, the living soul. And I said, I was just waiting. Oh, they're going to knock on my door in 2 days. I'm going to be carted away. Haven't heard from them since. So even detectives looking for me to be like a witness on some company I was in, that's happened to me before. And eventually went through a criminal case that I was proved innocent. Did I get my money back after spending over 10 cases in the court? I got about €1,000, which didn't even cover the solicitor. And I basically wrote that. I said, like, who's going to pay my costs and all this stuff?
Yes.
And nothing, no more. So, like, And even when I face people, like the time of the mask, and we might touch on that as well, because I can see that being resurrected, and we knew it was going to come. We told people, and they said, yeah, put your tinfoil back, hat back on. But now they're kind of going, how did you know that? We knew before as well. But like when I was approached by the cops inside in the supermarket, they just came up and started barking at me, and I just ignored them first, and then because I'm in Poland and they were speaking Polish, and I just turned to them, are you talking to me? And they both kind of, I didn't show any fear. And the man said, put on your mask. And I just said, oh yeah, turn around and walk. And they just stood there. And my son is laughing at it. Like he's 9 now. But I just showed to him, do not fear anybody, because that's the problem. And even if you look at, say, walking across the street, we don't have that in Ireland and England because, there's less people get knocked down because we use our brain and we just, if a car is coming, you don't walk. Yes. But in Poland, the man is green, they walk and they forget that not everybody's paying attention. And I see so many more accidents. But they do the jaywalking thing in Poland. And it's like, all you have to say is, who's the injured party?
Yes.
And it's as simple as that. And they'll just look at you like baffled, and you just walk on, and they're just still baffled 10 minutes later. The thing is, we don't give them the power. Everybody, even judges, I screamed at judges when I knew they were totally corrupt. Everybody goes in kind of fearing judges, ticket inspectors, whoever. The reality is they're civil servants. They're to serve humanity. They're not, obviously.
They're not. You're absolutely right there. They're not. But I mean, let's just on the civil servant thing. I mean, here's the thing: is the official narrative is that the judges work for us, and the police work for us, and the politicians work for us. Right? That's the official narrative. In reality, they don't. So the judges, for example, they work for basically the United Nations, and they're paid. They get their salary from the International Monetary Fund. That's two separate corporations. So they don't work for us. The police are private corporations with no contract between us. So there is no contract between me and the police. The police are not obligated to protect you in any way because there is no contract. So a lot of people think, oh, the police work for us. Well, have you seen the contract? There isn't one. And the politicians, they don't work for us. So if they get voted in, if a politician gets voted in, he works for the UK corporation. He's just got himself a new job. Doesn't work for us. There is no contract. So I know a lot of people start referring to like the Magna Carta and all the rest of it. Look, I like the Magna Carta. I like the idea behind it, because I think behind the Magna Carta was the first idea that man should be free and you should not have a ruler. That's what the barons wanted to be equal to the king. So I like the sentiment, but unfortunately, the Magna Carta operates in the jurisdiction of England, which is a corporation, and it was a contract between the king and the barons. My signature is not on it, and it's got nothing to do with the UK corporation. That's completely different. So the Magna Carta doesn't operate there. So I know there's a lot of people thinking that, civil servants. Here's the thing. Civil servants, that might be giving you a clue. You go, civil, what does that mean? That's civilian, isn't it? Okay, then civilian. So they're civilian servants. Well, who actually controls the civil procedure codes that civilians are supposed to follow? Oh, that's the Bar Association. Oh, Bar Association's a private corporation. So the civil servants serve the Bar Association, not us. But yeah, the official narrative is they work for us, but in reality, they don't.
And like you mentioned, the Magna Carta, and then the last time we were talking about black laws, because there's so many different versions. And I think one of the guests actually sent us on version one. I was actually able to get a printed version just recently. Yeah.
Wow, there it is.
Yeah. There's actually 2 parts to it. So that shows how big it is.
It's huge. Oh, yeah.
And like with this, like the black laws, because I mean, it looks like different. I don't know, we on version 12 or 13 or something like that. But looks like originally brilliant thing, but then it got infiltrated, and then they kind of took out the ones that we needed to know about. But like from like the experience that you've seen and other people doing, are you able to kind of go into a court and refer to points on black laws?
Okay. Yes and no. Now, here's the thing with the dictionary thing is there are multiple versions, okay, but it doesn't mean, I think you're right, I think it is 13 or 11, 13, something like that. And although there's multiple versions, it doesn't mean that the entire legal system is now all using version 11 or version 13 or whatever it is, you see. So this is assumption again. So if you do receive documentation in the post, don't assume that they're using Black's Law version 13. They could be using Black's Law version 1 still. Or they could be using Bouvier's dictionary, for example. That's another one they could be using.
I think I have that one as well.
You got that one as well? Yes. There you go. So here's a little trick. Anyone listening to this, right? One of the things I tend to do now is if I get any of these letters through the post, if it's whatever, I ask two questions. Very first, two questions. What language are you using? What dictionary are you using? And I need those answers before I can move any further, because I can't read this until I know what language it is you're using and what dictionary. And they won't answer, but you can keep asking. So that's one trick you can use.
And the thing, actually, because people mightn't realize, because sometimes if they're trying to make a claim against you, whatever, when you respond and they don't respond back, they can't take it to the next level. So you're actually even delaying it, and you're giving yourself time to start researching more to protect yourself.
Absolutely right. Yes, because a lot of people panic and they get these letters through the post, and it goes, "Oh God, what do I do? I've only got 14 days." Well, no, you can respond within 14 days, but you don't have to answer any of these questions. So you could just send your own notice and say, oh, before we move forward, can you tell me the name, your language in the dictionary? They'll do. And then you wait for them to respond. So you're delaying it. Oh, and by the way, just sending that, you would charge them £500 administration costs, because they failed to tell you what language and dictionary they were actually using in the original correspondence. So I have to send them a notice asking £500. So yeah, people have got to get used to this, and it takes some of the fear away, because then you can start having a bit of fun with it, you know, and you can start sending your notices off. But going back to the dictionaries, I have tried it in court. I actually went into court, and I had the Oxford English and I had the Black's Law first edition, both books. And I actually went to the judge and I says, which books are we using? But I was up against a complete criminal judge, and he laughed. He says, I don't care about that. All right. So it depends on the judge you're getting. All right. So if I'd done that with a magistrate, then they would probably started panicking. In fact, I've been in a room with the magistrates before, and I questioned, was there a trust operating under a nom de jure that resembled my name? And as soon as I asked that question, they got up and walked out the room, and I goes, what's going on? What's going on? But if you go up against one of these real criminal judges, they don't care. I mean, you can hand up, you know, you can say, are we doing Black's Law? We're doing Oxford, and they go, whatever. In fact, you can even ask some of these judges, are you actually using the bench book? And which is what one question I asked the judge, and he went, Pwah. I went, oh God, now I'm in a completely criminal court at this point, because the bench book is the book that the courts are supposed to follow. That's their rule book, okay? So all the people in that room, the security guard, the clerk, the judge, all of these people in there, the woman typing, if you've got one of those, they have to follow that bench book. So you have to ask for it. It says, are you actually operating under the jurisdiction of the bench book? And they have a problem, because if they say yes, then I've got them, because then I can quote from it, and now I can control the court. So, but if they say no, then you go, well, what am I doing here? Then it's clearly a criminal court, isn't it? If you're not even going to follow your own rule book. And of course, the one that I had, he just went, whatever. That was his attitude. I mean, I had the court audited. I had 8 people in that room writing everything down. So it's all being recorded.
And like I don't know what you call the person that actually works for the courts and take it.
Yeah, it's got a long name.
But like, I have seen, there's times I'm saying stuff and I know I'm actually putting them into place. That's not being written down.
No.
And by right, the reality to have a fair hearing, everything should be written down. And then you can go back and go, I said this. And you actually, so you can hold them in contempt or whatever way you want to say it, that it's fraudulent. But like, the reality is, I think sometimes you're not allowed to bring people in, but if you can, but the reality is you should have, even whether they say you can do it or not, I say you should record everything with your phone, record the whole lot, because you need to protect yourself.
Absolutely correct. I mean, this is a dead giveaway. The thing is if you are actually in a court of law, actually it should be called court in law, because they even trick you with that. Because if you call it a court of law, in their legal language, of means without. So if it's a court of law, it means without law. So if you ask them, is this a court of law? They go, yeah, of course it is. It means it's without law. So it's a court in law. But yeah, you have the right to an open court, which means anyone can attend, and a court of record, which means it must be recorded. Everything must be recorded. And the fact that you aren't allowed to do this when you go to these administrative courts, so speeding, parking tickets, whatever it is, debt collectors and all the rest of it, gives you a clue. You're not dealing with law at this time. You're not dealing with a court at this time. It's all fraudulent. But going back to the court of record, again, you're right. If I can't record it, how can I protect myself? I need it recording to prove what is going on. But they can't record it. The reason why they don't want to record it is because they're committing fraud. Speeding tickets, they don't record any of that because they're committing mass fraud. Because every time you go to these courts, they are using you to dip into your trust fund. It's a bank. It's that's all it is. It's buying and selling debts. And they don't want any of this on the record. And then going back to an open court where anyone can attend and watch. Anyone, and it can be any number of people can turn up, but they limit it. So they'll say to you, yes, but you're only allowed up to 7 people. Normally it's seven witnesses or 7 people watching and 1 Mackenzie friend. So up to 8 max. And you go, okay, then why 8? And the reason why they limit it to that is because if you could bring in 12 or more people in with you, and you notice that there's no jury in that room, you can set up your own jury. You can take control of the court. Say, oh, I notice there's no jury here. Don't worry, I brought my own with me. That's why they limit it. But when you learn this stuff, you can then see the corruption. Then you can see the fraud.
And it depends on the country that you're from. Solicitor, they call it, lawyer, barrister. The reality is when you hire them, you're basically saying that you don't have the know-how or anything. You're just giving them the power of attorney, which I've learned they get kickbacks as well from cases. And we don't even know about that. So they're double dipping. They're charging you and they're also getting a kickback on the case. And so you should represent yourself. And I know it's hard. I mean, I have over 100 cases, but the ones that I've represented myself were the ones that I felt went the best. And irrespective of the result, because you're in a corrupt system, it's like even when I did have a solicitor, it was always me telling them, say this, they said that, they don't really care. They don't. It's just a paycheck to them.
Yes, in fact, it's in their best interest that you lose, because if you win, they don't get their commission. So they want you to lose, because remember, if you lose in court, then that means the court has the right to dip into your trust fund. And if it's a speeding ticket, say roughly, just to give you an idea what's going on, for every £100 you pay in a fine, they're dipping 100,000 out of your trust fund. So that's just a bit of a guide. So if you're in there for speeding and you've got a £500 speeding ticket, then the courts are dipping into your trust fund for 500,000. And your lawyer, solicitor, barrister, whoever you hired, he's getting commission. He's getting a slice of that. So he wants you to lose. In fact, a lot of these solicitors will often offer you a deal. They'll say, oh, just say you're guilty and we'll offer you a deal. Yeah, because that means you've lost. And if you accept the deal, then they can dip into your trust fund. And yeah, it's a sick system. It really is. You can't trust these lawyers or solicitors. I mean, okay, let's be fair. There might be some junior lawyers maybe just starting out in their career who don't really know this. It's only the top flight, law firm partners, people who own their own law firms who know this. The junior people don't, and a lot of them are brainwashed. In fact, I was actually speaking to a solicitor. She's actually she's got her own business, and she's been doing it for a very long time, very successful. And she actually started watching some of my podcasts. And I mentioned in one of them that you don't own anything. You don't own your house, your car, your business, your children, that sort of stuff. And she went, what? And she wanted to meet me. So we actually had lunch, and I was just explaining it all to her. And she was like, oh, so even she didn't know. So maybe not all lawyers or solicitors know, but so for example, you might hire a junior lawyer, but he's been told to do as he's told. Himself might not get the commission, but the law firm that he works for will, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So just to clear that up.
And like I had a criminal case against me that was fraudulent, of course. And I went on for a few years, cleared it, and then the prosecutor came back again and they said, because we have to. But I remember during that, because the guy had his daughter that was actually doing the case, but he had dealt with me before, big firm, and he owned it. So on a bigger case years before, on a construction case, he had dealt with me, and we won a big case. So when I met him, I was talking to him, and I started saying all the different thing about the jurisdiction in the court. He's listening there. This guy now teaches people as well, right? So I'm saying all the stuff I know. Did he say, "You're nuts, Roy"? Don't. All he just said is he nodded and he just said, "Yeah, but better not say that."
Yeah.
So if I was wrong, he would have said, "Put on your tinfoil hat" or whatever.
Yes.
I know, like the fact that he just said, "Yeah, better not say that."
Yes.
And the only reason I didn't use my kind of knowledge, because it's a learning curve, and the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. For a criminal case, I had to I needed somebody to hold my hand, and it was just it.
Yes.
But I think going further down, it's like, no, they don't have your best interest at heart.
They don't. They don't. I mean, a lot of people. Yeah, you're right. A lot of these people do know this stuff. It's going back to the mortgages, and the money situation and all this sort of, and we don't own it. Because this reminds me of a conversation I had with a bank manager, and I was actually the other side of the till. I was drawing a lot of money out. Well, not really a lot of money, but it's a few thousand, and they were trying to give me all these questions, and I said, look, I'm getting sick of this. Get the manager. And so the manager is there, and I just said, look, give me the money. And anyway, so I just started talking to him. I says, do you know that this is fiat currency and it doesn't have any real value? And he started sweating. He started like this. And I started asking him some other questions. I says, you do know that this is a public credit and it's actually based on your personal private credit. In other words, your bank, your birth certificate. And he shrugged and he went, yeah, I know. And it was so he admitted it. And I said, do you have a mortgage? I said, you've been asking me questions. I'll ask you a question. Do you have a mortgage? And he goes, yeah. And he says, you're making payments? He goes, yeah. I says, well, how do you feel that you're actually making payments on your own credit? And he goes, well, I want a house. What else are you going to do? And that was his attitude. So many people know. They do know.
And like kind of going back with the house and everything and all the different things, like the trust, because I think just to make sure that we let people know the advantages of a trust, when you put your property into it, it's judgment proof. So even their corrupt judgment systems say, oh, we're going to making a claim against you, they can't touch it when you have it in a trust, when it's done properly. Because I know some people, they're, like we mentioned at the start, they're charging $5,000 and it's not done right. And then they go, what's happening? But when it's done properly, and I think you can do anything, you can even put your car, you can put any of your assets into this.
Well, we'll have to just expand on that a minute, because obviously, yes, you can get your trust done correctly, paperwork wise, okay. But once you have it, you must know how to use it, and you must know what to say and what not to say. Because if you say the wrong thing, it doesn't matter if you spent, say, £25,000 on the best trust ever, written by the best lawyers in London or whatever, and they've written it and all, it's fantastic, it's got the seals on it and it's been riveted and all the rest of it. If you say the wrong thing to the wrong person who works for these corporations, especially government corporations, they will empty your trust because you've given them authority, basically. So the paperwork is only ever as strong as you. I've always said this, you don't hide behind the paperwork. The paperwork is the extension of your authority. So you've got to watch what you say. Now, going back to the assets thing, technically, you're not actually protecting your assets. This is where it gets a bit deep. Now, I think everyone watching this now knows that you don't own anything. So you don't own your car, you don't own your house, you don't own your business if you've got one, you don't own your children. So take your car, for example. Well, what you can do, you can place the V5 or the Polish equivalent, the title to use, into a trust. But that's not the car. The car itself is still outside of the trust, the actual equity value of the car. There's another document out there, which is called the manufacturer's statement of origin, that is not in your trust, okay? So someone else owns it. So someone else has that manufacturer's statement of origin certificate document, which means they have the equitable title of that car, whatever it is. So that's where the asset is. What you have is the right to use it, okay? So what you've done is if you put the V5 into trust, all you're doing is protecting the right to use someone else's property. Now, it does make it very difficult for bailiffs to get hold of, because the V5 will no longer be in your name anymore, but it will be in the name of the trust. So it does make it difficult for bailiffs to now actually gain access to the equitable title, especially these debt collector ones who don't have any paperwork whatsoever. They've got no chance. But if you're dealing with the court, and if you're dealing with court-appointed bailiffs, they'll bypass that trust and they'll go after the equitable title. They've got a way of doing it. So really what you need is the to get that asset, the car. You've got to get that back. And the only way that you can get that back is by deregistration. So you deregister it. So you say, I don't want to register it with the DVLA or the Polish equivalent anymore. Thank you very much. I'd like to take my car back. And I would like the manufacturer's statement of origin, and I would like the certificate of conformity to be returned to me as well. Once you get those, well, big quotes, I'm not going to say this is easy, but once you got those documents back, you can place those documents into the trust. Now you've protected your asset because you do own the car now. It's not tied to another organization or DVLA or the government. There is no way that they can get hold of it. And by the way, if you do actually deregister your car, you don't need number plates anymore. You don't need a driver's license anymore. You don't pay road tax anymore. So all that goes away. And ULEZ doesn't apply, goes in the bin. Speeding tickets goes in the bin. In fact, all parking tickets, all that goes in the bin. It doesn't apply to your car anymore.
And
So,
you can, I'm not sure is this correct, but just I've seen some people talk about this, that you can have like then like a bond from your trust that covers the insurance, because I mean all the
yes.
insurance companies are fraudulent anyway. I mean,
Oh,
just on
yes.
a little tangent, I see that they've
Yeah.
all pulled out of California recently, that you can't even insure your house, so something's going to go on there as well. And
Yes.
so like, I mean, I've had different insurance claims over the years, like while managing property, and there was times like you couldn't even buy the paint for the money that they're giving you. So you
Yep.
don't realize how fraudulent an insurance company is till you actually try to get your money from a proper legitimate claim.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in fact, a lot of people are now realizing this, is that these insurance companies are not paying out now. You know, they're kicking up a fuss. They're not giving you the full amount. They're making excuses and all the rest of it. And they are committing fraud, because ultimately it is your credit. When we spoke about this earlier, it's your credit that actually funds these insurance companies. It's your own credit. You've got $100 million in credit from the trust that was set up when you were born. So now you know that there is a way. I haven't got all the pieces to this yet, but you're right about the bond. There is a way where you can create a bond that is tied to your birth certificate, because it's the birth certificate that is actually the gateway into this trust of $100 million. So you create the bond linked to your birth certificate that covers your car. So if you are involved in an accident, you go, no problem. There's the bond through my birth certificate, dip into 100 million in credits in there, and it'll just sort it all out. Basically, that is what the insurance company is doing. They do it a lot more long-winded than that, because it's done through the treasury and through the bank. So it's very difficult to trace back how they're doing it. But that's what they do. They just dip into your trust fund when they've got to make a payment. It's a complete fraud.
So with like the mandates now that are, like wear the masks, because I want to touch on that mandate law, like bills and stuff like that, because everything that they're trying to push now is kind of related to that. So you
Yes.
might just touch on them ones, because I think it's kind of very relevant for what's about to slap people into the head.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to bring it back again. Now, the thing with mandates, this is what started off the Sovereign Project, actually, because I was seeing people, back in 2021, I think, when the mandates were coming out, and panicking, millions and millions of people all over the world panicking. Oh, and it wasn't just about, masks and whatnot. It was also about medical intervention, being mandated for that. And they were going, oh, I've been mandated to have this and wear this. And I was going, what, don't you know how mandates work? You can't be mandated without a contract that you have already agreed to and signed. So I was trying to get this information out. So I set up the website, sovereignproject.live, and I put information on there explaining contracts. And I had a little chat with Mark Devlin, and I had a little podcast with him, and it did great numbers. And that's how Sovereign Project kicked off, because I was getting so many calls to do podcasts, and it just ended up there I am today now. So I'm hoping hundreds of thousands of people now know that you cannot be mandated unless you've agreed to the mandate first. So the way it works, and it has to be with another living, breathing man or woman, not a corporation. Okay. So let's say you sit down with Bob, And Bob says, you know what? He says there could be some medical problem coming up in a few months' time. I would like the right to force you to wear a mask and take a injection. And you would say, yeah, that's not a problem. And you would sign it, and Bob would sign it, and he'd go, great, you've got a copy each. And then when the medical emergency happened, Bob would then have the right to issue you with a mandate to do the thing and wear the mask. That would make it lawful and legal. Now, if you did not sign that contract, and if someone is trying to make you wear a mask or trying to make you have a medical intervention, the first question you should ask is who? Who is saying this? Not a what, not work, not HR department, not management. These are legal fictions that don't exist. Who? Give me the name of the living, breathing man or woman who says or thinks they have the right to force me to wear a mask or have a medical intervention. No one's going to ever step up. Now, if you're dealing with work and they're starting to put the pressure on, then you put the pressure back on them. You give them questions. Right, I'm giving you 30 days. I'll give you 30 days notice for the person to step up who thinks they have the right. And they have to then provide the evidence that they have the right to mandate you. And then you sue your business. I mean, so many people could have made so much money last time around. All the doctors and nurses, just sue. It's easy.
Because this is one of the things, I'm not sure where I came across this, but it was because the way they do things with the flags in the countries. And corporations have flags. And I think they're doing a lot of trickery. They're using the flag, so you work under them, so then you have to comply to their rules. They're using it in that kind of realm that you kind of think you have to.
You absolutely. In fact, what it is, you've got to understand what a country is. A country is a corporation. A flag is a corporate logo, no different to McDonald's. So McDonald's has the arches, that's their flag, that's their corporate logo. The UK has the Union Jack, that's their corporate logo. So a country, if we touch on this so people might understand how this game is played, you've got to understand the rules and then you can play it. A country does not exist on land. It's not the land you're standing on, okay? It's not the buildings. It's not the people living in the buildings. That's not a country. It's a legal fiction. It exists on paper only. For example, the United States was founded in 1776. Okay. Well, was there land in 1775? Yes. So where did the country come from?
And was there people living there before then?
That's exactly right. With someone else living there.
Before he killed them all.
Yes. Now take the UK. Everyone's saying you live in the UK. Oh, I live in the UK, do I? Okay, then what about England then? Do I live in England? Oh, hang on a minute. What about Britain? Have you heard of that one? Britain. How about the British Isles? Why have I got all these names?
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth, yeah, Commonwealth. Do I live in the Commonwealth? You see, these are corporations, they're jurisdictions. And when you know that, you go, oh, it's like Prince Charles became King of England, right? He didn't become King of the UK, did he? No, UK is a corporation. It's the same as McDonald's. But yeah, going back to your original point, this is how it works. When you work for, and this is the same with a country. If you claim that you are operating within a country, let's say, yeah, I live in the UK. Well, you've just entered into that corporate jurisdiction. And now that means you've agreed to all the corporate policies, you know, statutes and regulations as well, because you've agreed to it. If you say that you are a British citizen, you now have to follow the rules of someone living in Britain or the corporation called Britain. So, yeah, so if you work for McDonald's, you are operating in that jurisdiction. However, you have a contract. And there's limitations in that contract. So you only operate in that jurisdiction in works time. So if you work at 8 in the morning till 5 in the evening, McDonald's only has jurisdiction over you between those two times. Once you're home, McDonald's has no authority over you. You're outside of the jurisdiction. So, I mean, this is the thing. I was fighting my bosses for years. You know, I used to work for a lot of people. And whenever they tried to force something onto me, I said, I never agreed to this. I would fight back. I says, where is it written in the contract? This is what people should be doing. So if you work for a corporation and they're saying, oh, you've got to wear a mask, you've got to do this. I says, okay, then. Well, that's a medical situation. Okay. Where does it say that? Where? Show me the contract, please. Where's the clause in that contract saying I agree to this? There isn't one. And there'll never be one. So there's never ever going to be a clause in your contract saying you've agreed to take an experimental injection.
And like what we've seen now is Trudeau in Canada and in Australia going, yeah, you made the decision yourself now that they see so much carnage. And yet they're still trying to push it. I saw one the other day, Mark have now, there's approval from the FDA in August that from 12 months, they're going to be giving mRNA to babies, like, from 12 months of age. And it's like, yet you have these people coming out going, oh, you can't make a claim because you decided yourself.
Yeah, I saw that. I was blown away. It's like, oh, it was a personal decision, was it? Like, you were not allowed to travel on a bus. You can't go watch movies. You can't go to work. I'm sorry. That sounds like coercion to me, not free will. It's insane. Honestly, if people haven't woken up yet, they're beyond hope.
And because there's something now that's going on really sinister. All of the countries are giving the World Health Organization power to kind of now declare the next pandemic. Like, we know that the people involved in the World Health Organization are as corrupt as you can get. It's got Gates behind it, he's killed millions, but yet it's like as if it doesn't happen, and he's buying the land, chopping down trees and using, the lie of climate change and all that. Like, there's so many things going on, but the reality is, my life and everybody else's came to a standstill because I refused to do a PCR test because, one, I understood what they were doing and the dangers with that, and two, I wouldn't wear a mask going on a plane or anything. So I just decided, all right, I'm not trying this. It is what it is. But like, the reality is, they're trying to kind of make that normal, and same with the 15 minutes and everything. So what can we be starting to do to prevent? Because you're doing a lot. You're sharing today. I create the podcast and I try to surround myself with people. I do research and but there's a lot of people, and all they're doing is complaining about what's going on. So if you could take them and give them a little rattle, what should they do that will actually make? Because the way I see it is, if everybody said, "I'm not wearing a mask," it's like I've had top doctors on my show saying the dangers of it. Yet when I put it up on either TikTok or YouTube, it's removed for medical misinformation. So, like, we're censored to get the truth out. But the reality is, it wouldn't happen if the 100 other people around me said no way. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to just say, get out the gun and start shooting us? No.
Correct. Here's the thing. Everyone's saying that the 2020 was the beginning of the Great Awakening. No, I don't think so, because most people aren't awake yet. They might have realized what's going on, going, oh, God, this is happening. Oh, God. They're not awake. The reason why they're not awake is because they haven't realized that the government has no authority. That's the ultimate thing. They told you this in a movie called The Wizard of Oz. The end scene with the smoke and the booming voice and the flames. Woo. Yeah, I don't care about that. I pull the curtain back and go, who's pulling the levers? So when you realize that government has no authority, it's just a corporation, and you realize that they do not deal in law, it's just legislation, which is just corporate policy. And all these other organizations like the WEF and the WHO, they're just corporations, no different than McDonald's. They have no power. The police have no authority. So when you wake up to this, you go, oh, when you start learning about jurisdictions as well, like we talk about the UK, let's try and use that so people can try and understand this jurisdiction thing. So I'm here in England. So what's the name of the land that I'm sitting on or standing on? Is it England? Is it Britain? Is it the UK? No, these are all corporations. They're all separate jurisdictions, and I can jump around. Now that I know that, I go, well, can't I actually make my own country? I can make my own nation, and yes, I can. So I can actually step out the UK and say, you know what? I am going to be in my own nation. It's called Pete's Nation. I'm not operating in the UK anymore. Thank you. And I haven't even moved from this spot. This is how, have you heard of diplomatic immunity? So these diplomats, I think we've all seen the Lethal Weapon films, with the bad guy and I have diplomatic immunity, and he's holding up his ID or something, like the end scene or something like that. And you go, what's going on? How does this diplomatic immunity work? Well, America is not the land. America is a jurisdiction. He's got paperwork that says he's not operating in that jurisdiction. That's why the police can't touch him, because he's operating in a different jurisdiction. So leading on, we've got a plan, and we're discussing it now. We are considering setting up our own sovereign nation. Okay, so a lot of people are talking about it. I know becoming sovereign can be a very large leap for a lot of people, and it might be too much for them. So we're thinking about setting up a middle ground, a stepping stone. So you can step out the jurisdiction of Poland, because Poland is just a corporation, or Australia or New Zealand or whatever corporation you find yourself in, the UK for me. We step out of that and then we step into our own sovereign nation. So within the sovereign nation, you would have your own passport, which can't be revoked, and it has diplomatic immunity. And then you can just carry on about your business. So you just carry on as normal, and then the police can't touch you. None of the rules or the regulations of the UK even apply to you now because you're not operating in that jurisdiction. The solution is easy. It really is. And if you get enough people, like you say, waking up and say, we're not doing this. We're not doing the masks. I know the UK is a corporation. Go away. I know the police have no authority. Go away. That's it. It comes to an end, doesn't it? So, and people have got to wake up.
No, definitely. And because I've seen some people trying to organize like the diplomatic passport, and I was going to go down that route, and I was looking at it, but I saw that even they had that you had to get the PCR test even with that. So it's like they were kind of aware of people doing that because the police can't even stop you if you're driving. You could be speeding, and if you've got the certain registrations or just show that passport, and but like on the other side then, right? Because there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, you can't stop me for speeding because you can use the wording and different things." But we also have to kind of look at it from there's idiots out there as well, and we need kind of like a safe driving limit as well. So like how do we navigate that? Because there's some people stepping outside of it. I do what I want, and the thing is like, I mean, the reality is we should be policing ourselves. That
you got it. That's the answer. You see, the thing is, a lot of people have been brainwashed to think we need rules in place to stop bad people from doing bad things. But that's an oxymoron. All right. Because if there's a criminal or a bad person and they want to do something bad, why would they follow the rules in the first place? They wouldn't. So that's a complete fraud straight away. So the most of us, probably 90% of us, we can drive very easily on the roads without speed limits because we will drive at the speed limit that we deem is safe for that current situation. We all have that ability. I don't think anyone technically follows the state speed limit. We all do. We drive at a safe rate. We go, oh, it's daylight, or it's nighttime, or it's sunny, or it's dry, or it's raining, or I don't know these roads, so I'm going to slow down. Or I do know these roads, I can speed up a bit. I've got a nice car, I've got good tires, fresh brakes. We all can determine the correct speed for the correct situation. I mean, here's the thing. The average person, ask them this question. Do you stop at a red light? I do. And I'm sure you'd stop at a red light, see a red light. Okay. And you go, okay, then there's two reasons why you would stop at a red light. Is it that there's a regulation saying that if you jump a red light, you have to pay a fine? Is that the reason? Or is it the reason that I'm going to stop because I don't know what's coming? I think it'd be safe if I stopped. If you're the person who says, I'm going to stop at that red light because I think it's the safe thing to do, why do you need the regulation? Why do you need it? You don't. So if you're the type of person who says, I only stop at a red light because if I don't, I'm going to get a fine. So I go, all right then. So if you get rid of the fine, does that mean you're going to barrel through at 120 miles an hour on the red light? Now, there are stupid people out there. There's irresponsible people. They do stupid things all the time. I've seen a woman wash a car with petrol in a petrol station. All right. Absolutely true. I couldn't believe it with my own eyes. I've seen a Tesla driver trying to fill up his tire with hydrogen and his nozzle won't fit. And what are you doing? People do stupid things. Now, does that mean that I want regulations in place that's going to steal my freedom because of the stupid people out there? No, I don't. So we all have the ability to actually regulate ourselves. We can all do it. Some people won't. The idiots won't, and regulations aren't going to stop them anyway. So it's pointless. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. The best one I've seen in a swimming pool, it was in the States. Don't breathe underwater.
You're kidding me.
No. I was like, that's as bad as it gets. Like when you see that, you go, oh my God.
Yeah, you give up hope, don't you? Oh, that's like the pizza one, isn't it? It's the one, remove the pizza from the box before eating.
But
Oh,
it seems like everything is like that now. We're just.
honestly, people are stupid. Well, I don't want to be punished for stupid people.
So one of the things, and I know we might have touched it in the previous show, but it seems to everybody has their own way of doing it. It's like the autograph, say the signature,
Yeah.
like because the ways that I have done it myself. Anytime when you go in the post office because you don't have that much, I always put LS. If it's good enough for the Queen, it's good enough for me. Living soul. That's the way I see it, right?
Yes.
So if anyone says, "What's that about?" I'm not a corporate entity. I'm the living soul. But like you've got, say that my name is Roy David Coughlan, right? So you'd have Roy dash David Coughlan, and then I've seen different versions with the capital letter, the first of each one, and I've seen smaller lowercase for say the Roy David and then a capital C. Do
Yes.
you know the difference on which one we should be using?
Yes. Now, this is the thing with the name. I actually got a course on the name deception, which I'm putting together. I'm holding it here in Leicester. We're doing it now. So the name deception is quite complicated. Let's start off with the name deception, and then you might understand how you should write your name. So let's say, for example, your name's Roy, and if you write Roy down on a piece of paper, and then I also write Roy down on a piece of paper, which one of these two pieces of paper is your name? The one that you wrote, not the one that I wrote. That's my name. I wrote it. I am the author of it. Okay. Now, if I said to you, is your name Roy? And you said yes, I'm referring to this name, the one I control, not the one you've written down, not your name. Now I've got power over you because you've admitted that you are Roy. And I go, well, I've actually written it down here. So that's the Roy that I've got. So that's the name deception. So this is how the courts get hold of you. And this is how a lot of people fall into the trap. They get the document through the post and it'll be Mr. Bob Smith. And people think that's their name. You know, if it's Bob Smith is your living, breathing name, they'll think, oh, that's me. It's got Bob Smith. No, it's not. You didn't write that down. You didn't write that Bob Smith on that piece of paper. You didn't give authority to the person who wrote it to put that name down. That's not your name. You can send it back. If you've got documentation from a person you have no dealings with, you've got no contract with at all, and although it looks like your name, it is not, because you didn't give them authority to write it. You didn't write it. It's not your name. You can send it back. Address you're not recognized. No, done. Now, the name deception. Let's touch on the difference between forename, surname, given name, family name. Okay, because people get confused with this. You do not have forenames. Okay, forenames is a legal term. You don't have a forename. You don't have a surname. Surname is surety name. Surety name basically means you have agreed to be the debtor. Surety means you are the collateral for the debt. In other words, okay. So you don't have a surname. The surname is actually controlled by the Vatican anyway. So you don't have forenames and you don't have surnames. But what you do have is a given name, because the name that is given to you is from your parents. They named you Roy, and that was given to you. Then you would have a family or even a house name, which will be your family name, okay? So you have a given name or two. If you've got more than one, you have a middle name. You can have more than one given name, and then you've got a family name. Now, depending on how you write this down, if you write it down in title case English, or well, let's make it a bit simpler. If you write it in all caps, then you send it to any of these organizations, any corporation, they will take that as your legal name, which will be your corporation. Okay, not your given name and not your family name. If you even write it in title case English, they will also assume, oh, well, that's still your corporate name. Okay, so they'll take it as your corporate name. So you've got to be careful there. Now you can use quantum grammar, which is parsecs syntax grammar. So what this does is it uses the colon. So I'm just going to write down. Let's make up a name. Billy Bob Smith. Bob space Smith. Full stop. So the way it would be written, if you wanted to use quantum grammar, you go with the colon. Now, the reason you go with a colon is the colon says that anything that follows the colon is fact. Okay, it's fact. Then you have a space. The reason you have a space is because the language we are using is English. So in the grammatical rules of English, what follows a colon is a space. So you've got to put a space there. I mean, they do dirty tricks. I mean, they will actually, some of these people will send you documentations in the post and they'll put 2 spaces in between words. That's not English anymore because it doesn't follow the rules of English. So you've got to watch out for that. So colon, space. You will use title case English to write Billy. So capital B, the rest of it is I-L-L-Y, lowercase. Now, if you've got the middle name Bob, hyphen. The hyphen means you're joining these 2 names together, 2 given names. Bob will just be written in lowercase, B-O-B, lowercase. And you've hyphened it, meaning you've joined the 2 together because that's your given name, okay? Then it'd be colon again, space, because that's the rules of English, and then it would be Smith, which would be written in title case English, which is capital S, and then M-I-T-H would be written in lowercase, full stop. You must always, always, always put a full stop, period. That ends the sentence. That means they can't add to it. So that is how it should be written. Now, how you sign it is entirely up to you because signatures are not supposed to be read. You're not supposed to read a signature. It's a sign. Okay, it can be anything. You don't even have to use letters. You can do little My Little Kitty if you want, if that's what your signature is. Entirely up to you. It's your sign that you make. But the color of the ink matters. And how you've written your name also matters. Because if you've written it like that and you've signed in purple ink and you've put your red thumbprint over it to endorse it and all the rest of it, you see, and you're trying to apply for a credit card, they won't accept that. They'll say, well, no, it's going to be rejected because you can only apply for a credit card by using your corporation, using the black ink. So that's why you would write your name in all caps. That's your corporation. And you would sign in black ink because that means you are signing on behalf of your corporation. And now you can get your credit card. This is why your passport will not accept this. You can't sign purple ink and use thumbprints in your passport because the passport's not you. It's not a living, breathing man or woman. You are representing a corporation. That passport is a corporation. So you just got to learn to use the right signature for the right application.
And with, like, if you're stopped for speeding or they're just trying to give you a fine, parking fine or something, where they're actually, say, they blocked your tires, and like I have seen that you can put the UCC 1-308 under prejudice, which means that like I'm being forced to sign this, and that kind of gives you a cop out. Is there other ways of doing that, or is that the best way of doing it?
Yeah, you can do that. Now, if you do use that, you are using the UCC code, so you're now acting in commerce. So as long as you know why you're using it, it's not a problem.
But they usually, like with the police, they won't let you. They'll make, it depends. It's the same thing. Sometimes you can talk to these people and they kind of get it and they let you off. I mean, I've been stopped a few times and I always get off, but there is times you'll deal with some aggressive police officer and you won't. And if they do, I think you're kind of protecting yourself because later on, then they can't. You kind of have a get out clause, let's say.
Yes, absolutely. Now you can do that if you want to use UCC, but you're operating out jurisdiction. You don't have to use it, and if you don't want to be in that, you can sign VC. So before you sign, you go VC in capitals. That's Latin. It stands for via coactus, which basically means under duress. So you go VC and then sign, and it basically voids your signature because it says that you signed under duress. So
and basically sign it the way we just explained previously.
Yeah, black ink, blue. Yeah, that's the way I do it. But yes, that's one way you could do it. By protecting it, you can even write if they let you. Depends on how good this, how aggressive the police are. But you can actually write under duress and then sign. And then sign over the top of where it says under duress, so they can't remove it. But you could do that as well. But I think we've got some tips in the manual actually regarding signatures. There's a section on it. There's a whole load of stuff you can do to protect.
But what I love about your manual is like there's flow charts on it, even on the mandate and everything. I'll be able to find one there now when I'm open it. But they're like just something like that, like a warranty flow chart. But you actually simplify it, and it's a brilliant way of kind of understanding, because the reality is if we kind of go down the legal route, everything seems complex
Yeah.
Till you simplify it and understand. It's like driving. You know, we at the start we're panicking, and I think it's the exact same thing with this. And it's like, you start getting little wins, and then you realize, okay, this works, and then further and further, and just kind of build your little, your tribe. But I would encourage everybody to get your manual, because I believe you can actually get it now on your website. Yeah, that's that workbook. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We sell it on the website. You can download all the documents for free and make your own if you want, print it off and staple it. So if you're really hard up, don't worry. But a lot of people, the only reason why we sell the books is because people say, well, can't you just do a manual? All right, then we'll do a manual then.
And to be honest with you, it's actually because I have bought a lot of books on Amazon. And when they're big, because this is, it's a decent size, but it's like well put together. Like I bought books on Amazon, and within days, the pages are falling out. So, and no, I actually love that you're doing that, because you're kind of catered. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, when they realize they're deep in it, they're like, I know people, like the minute money comes into their account, it's whipped, and then they're trying to do stuff where they're getting cash in hand, and it's like and that's over them for life. So like, that's why I love the way you're actually helping people and say, listen, you can actually listening to the different, you've been on a few different shows, but all the stuff like what you just said there, you can just print it off. So if you can't even afford the manual, there's very few doing that. So I commend you on that, Peter. I really do.
Thanks.
No, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Look, we have to get you back again. I know we said last time we'd get you back more often. Maybe after the event, we'll, in late October or something like that, you can just kind of update us on how it's going.
Yes.
So you might just mention again where they can find you and the different events and the different things, the different thing that you're creating.
Yes, no problem at all. Yeah. So we do have the website, which is thesovereignproject.live. And on there, you'll find our social media links like Facebook, Instagram, all that's all on there. So you can click on that and join the groups, because we've got thousands of people now in all these social media groups now, all sharing information. So you can get hold of that, hold of us through the website. If you want to collaborate with us, if you've got something to offer, there is a collaborations email you can use, and people can get in contact, say for podcasts, or if you've got a business or something like that, you want something you can offer us that we can use, get in contact. But yeah, the website's the place to be. And also you can find the Sovereign Wiki on the website. There's a button now. We've put a big yellow button on the homepage. It says Sovereign Wiki, so people can find it. Because we were getting emails going, I can't find it. All right, we'll put you a button. Just press the button. So if you've got something to offer, use the Sovereign Wiki, share your templates, share your remedies, share your knowledge, whatever it is, put it on there, and everyone can have it for free.
Listen, Peter, thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. I look forward to getting you back again. I wish you super success with your event on the 1st of October. And yeah, we'll be in contact. And
yes.
So, and I'd just like to say to people as well, when they do get the books, even the school book as well that you're recommending, but your own book, make sure you give them a 5-star rating and share with your friend, because it actually helps. They're being censored as like we're all being censored, but when somebody gives a 5-star rating, it does help. And they are fantastic books. So
thank you.
Thank you very much. So until next week, take care. So I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. You'll find everything about me on bio.link/podcaster with all my podcasts, and you'll find it, you see in the QR code in the graphic that's shown. I'd like again to thank my sponsors. So if you or someone you know struggling with anxiety and want to know how to be 100% anxiety free in 6 weeks without therapy or drugs, Daniel Packard's Anxiety Solution Program company offers a 6-week system that permanently solves anxiety at an astounding 90% success rate. People who join the program only pay at the end once they have clear, measurable results. If you're interested in learning more, go to permanentanxietysolutions.com, where you can book a free consultation with Daniel. Do you fight blood pressure and or want to get off the meds? Doctors are amazed at what Zona Plus can do. You can get a $50 discount with my code ROY, zona.com/discount/ROY. And you'll see it in the QR code as well as Daniel's QR code. Quality manufacturer of metal products for telecommunication and workshop equipment and other metal materials. You see the brochure there in the QR code, and let me know if you would like a quotation, shipped internationally at very competitive price. I'd like to thank all my sponsors and also all my listeners. Be sure to give me a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. Really helps. And I also have a video on how to give a 5-star rating because a lot of people have wrote to me asking me that they don't know how to do that. Until next week, take care.